Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron. I hope you're having a great day in Jesus. Thank you so much for being with us. We're going to be looking at the Great Bible today. Now, all Bibles are great. We know that. But this is one called the Great Bible. I'm just going to be looking at some things on Wikipedia. This is part of our Bible translation series. This is every English Bible, trying to do every English Bible that has ever been published, every translation. There's a bunch, into the hundreds. And so it's early modern English. Some people say that this is the beginning of early modern English, 1539, and its base text was the Hebrew Masoretic text, the Greek New Testament of Erasmus, the Vulgate, and the Luther Bible, and we'll look at that in just a moment of why that is. So the Great Bible, I think I've maybe actually done like some comparisons with the Great Bible with maybe the King James or Geneva that is from Weigel's Octupla, this big thing that has like 8 different translations, hence Octupla, but it's also in the Hexapla as well, Baxter's Hexapla of 1841. So the Great Bible of 1539 was the first authorized edition of the Bible in English. Before that, remember, for centuries it was illegal. People are dying, getting burnt at the stake. Henry VIII of England to be read aloud in the church services of the Church of England. The Great Bible was prepared by Miles Coverdale. Now, when we went over the Coverdale Bible, I went at length about Miles Coverdale, if you want to check him out. Working under commission of Thomas Lord Cromwell, secretary to Henry VIII and vicar general. In 1538, Cromwell directed the clergy to provide one book of the Bible of the largest volume in English, the same set up in some convenient place within the said church that you have care of, whereas your parishioners may most commodiously resort to the same and read it. And I think I may have actually even done a review years ago on one of these great site marketing reviews of the Great Bible. I remember years ago I'd said, God, if you want me to have a great Bible, I don't have any money, you'll have to give it to me. Lo and behold, like 2 weeks later, maybe 3, there it was at my front doorstep, sent by John Jeff Cody. Great site marketing, because I had been a good customer and he just wanted to give me a free gift. And I was like, okay, I think that answered a prayer. Pretty good. So here's the full name, and I'm going to try to read it in this early modern English, the spelling. The Bible in English, that is to say the content of all the Holy Scripture, both in ye Old and New Testament, truly translated after the verity of the Hebrew and Greek text by ye diligent study of durist, excellent, learned men, expert in the foresaid tongues. There was one word there I really didn't get. Let's see what John 1 through 1:3 says. In the beginning God created heaven and earth. The earth was void and empty, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, let there be made light, and there was light made. John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. Spelling's interesting, to say the least. Okay, so the Great Bible includes much from the Tyndale Bible, with the objectionable features revised, because objectionable to more liturgical churches. As the Tyndale Bible was incomplete, Coverdale translated the remaining books of the Bible and Apocrypha from the Latin Vulgate and German translations rather than working from the original Greek, Hebrew, and Aramaic text. Although called the Great Bible because of its large size, it's known by several other names as well. And this is very important to know, because you hear about all these Bibles, they're not separate Bibles. The Cromwell Bible tells why, the Whitchurch Bible, the Chained Bible, and Cranmer's Bible. So it's at least 4 different names. The Tyndale New Testament had been published in 1525. Remember, it was illegal. Followed by his English version of the Pentateuch in 1530, but both employed vocabulary and appended notes that were unacceptable to English churchmen. To the king, Tyndale's books were banned by Royal Proclamation in 1530, and Henry then held out the promise of an officially authorized English Bible being prepared by learned Catholic scholars. In 1534, Thomas Cranmer sought to advance the king's project by press gauging 10 diocesan bishops to collaborate on an English New Testament, but most delivered their draft portions late, inadequately, or not at all. By 1537, Cranmer was saying that the prose bishop's Bible would not be completed until the day after Doomsday. And actually, another one by Parker was completed in 1568. The king was becoming impatient with the slow progress, especially in view of his conviction that the Pilgrim of Grace had been substantially exacerbated due to the rebels' exploitation of popular religious ignorance. With the bishops showing no signs of completing their task, Cromwell obtained official approval for the Matthew Bible as an interim measure in 1537, the year of its publication under the pseudonym Thomas Matthew, actually John Rogers, burned at the stake very expediently by Bloody Mary, 1533. Cromwell had helped to fund the printing of this version. The Matthew Bible contained the New Testament of William Tyndale, and as much of the Old Testament as Tyndale had been able to translate before being put to death the prior year for heresy. That's October 6th, 1536. And I'm sitting here pressing buttons that I don't need to. Coverdale's translation of the Bible from the Latin into English and Matthew's translation of the Bible using much of Tyndale's work were each licensed for printing by Henry VIII. Neither was fully accepted by the church. Also, Anne Boleyn had Tyndale's writings in her bedroom before she lost her head. By 1538, it became compulsory for all churches to own a Bible in accordance with Thomas Cromwell's injunctions. Shows you how rare the Bible was in English and really everywhere. This is less than 100 years after the printing press, and first thing printed on that was the Bible. Coverdale based the Great Bible on Tyndale's work, but removed the features objectionable to the bishops. And he translated the remaining books of the Old Testament using mostly the Latin Vulgate and German translations. Coverdale's failure to translate from the original Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek gave impetus to the Bishop's Bible. I've also done like a review on one of these pages, or maybe a couple of pages of an old one that's not all that I got is a page. Certainly couldn't afford the other. The Great Bible's New Testament revision is chiefly distinguished from Tyndale's source version by the interpolation of numerous phrases and sentences found only in the Vulgate. For example, it has Acts 23, 24, and 25. Something that was from the Vulgate. The non-italicized portions are taken over from Tyndale without change, but the italicized words, which are not found in the Greek text translated by Tyndale, have been added from the Latin. And it can also be found with minor verbal differences than Dewey Ream's New Testament, which we've got a video on that, or a couple. This and the Chalnier, which comes from the Dewey Reams. The Psalms in the Book of Common Prayer, 1662, continue to be taken from the Great Bible rather than the King James Bible. And a lot of people like that. 1568, the Great Bible was superseded as the authorized version of the Anglican Church by the Bishop's Bible. The last of over 30 editions of the Great Bible appeared in 1569. All right, and so it goes into some of its printing. The first edition was a run of 2,500 copies. It was begun in Paris, 1539. Much of the printing, in fact 60%, was done in Paris, and after some misadventures where the printed sheets were seized by the French authorities on grounds of heresy, since relations between England and France were somewhat troubled at that time, the remaining 40% of the publication was completed in London in April 1539. That's interesting to know. Two luxurious editions were printed to showcase the presentation. One edition was produced for King Henry VIII and the other for Thomas Cromwell. Each was printed on parchment rather than on paper. Wow. I think you can get this. Like, they're a lot of money though. Great site marketing is where you'd want to go. John Jeffcoat. The woodcut illustrations of these editions, however, were then exquisitely painted by hand to look like illuminations. Today, the copy that was owned by the King Henry VIII is held by the British Library. Thomas Cromwell's editions held by the Old Library at St. John's College in Cambridge. It went through 6 subsequent revisions between 1540 and 1541. The second edition of 1540 included a preface by Thomas Cranmer recommending the reading of the scriptures. That's very famous, and I think I've probably done a video on that years ago here, over 5,000 videos later. 7 editions of the Great Bible were published in quick succession from April 1539 to December 1541. By 1541, more than 9,000 editions. had been printed. Cranmer's Great Bible can be found in the English Hexapla. Also, it can also be found in the second column of the New Testament Oxapla by Weigel, which I've done maybe more than one review of that here, as well as the Hexapla of 1841, if you want to check those out. The language of the Great Bible marks the advent of early modern English. Now, it's usually credited to Tyndale, but as we've already seen, much of this Bible is Tyndale's Bible. Moreover, this variant of English is pre-Elizabethan. The text, which was regularly read in the parish churches, helped to standardize and stabilize the language across England. Some of the readings of the first authorized version of the Bible differ from the more familiar 1611, the third authorized edition. Great Bible, 1539, first authorized. Bishop's Bible, 1568, second. 1611, third authorized. I love this. The commandment against adultery in the Great Bible says, "Thou shalt not break wedlock." It's actually a great translation in a certain way, at least communicatively. The woodcut illustrations in the earlier editions of the Great Bible in English evidence a lack of projective geometry in their designs, though this Bible falls in the Renaissance period of Bible production. In the early years of the Protestant Reformation of church theology and religious practice, the artwork used in the Great Bible more closely resembles the charm of the woodcut illustrations found in Biblia Pauperum in the medieval period. I've done some vids on that too. The woodcut designs appear in the 1545 edition as well. And the aftermath. The later years of Henry VIII were indeed marked by a serious reaction. In 1542, a convocation of the royal consent made an attempt thwarted by Cranmer to Latinize the English version to make it in reality what the Catholic version of Reims subsequently became. The following year, Parliament, which then practically meant the king and 2 or 3 members of the Privy Council, restricted the use of the English Bible to certain social classes that excluded 9/10 of the population, and 3 years later it prohibited the use of everything but the Great Bible. It's probably at this time that took place the great destruction of all previous work on the English Bible, which has rendered examples of that work so scarce. Even Tunstall and Heath were anxious to escape from their responsibility in lending their names to the Great Bible. In the midst of this reaction, Henry died January 28, 1547. So just a little bit about the Great Bible and what it is, and it is a great Bible. I would be a King James person, but still very good. God bless. Hey, check out the others under our Bible reviews, and check out all our videos here. Join us daily. Pray for us. Hit the bell notification when you subscribe. Share with your friends. Put it on social media. Talk with you later. Bye-bye.